So you want to start the childhood beliefs?
No, I'll let you. Okay. You articulate so well.
Okay.
And you're prettier.
I am prettier than you.
You're wearing that leather jacket that reminds me of
Grease Lightning?
Michelle Pfeiffer and Grease Lightning 2.
Grease Lightning, go, Grease Lightning.
Number 2, yeah. Got that hot stuff. Oh yeah, baby. Love the way you turn. You know,
Give me a chance. Yeah, baby, try. Just one more night. Then make up your mind.
Hey guys, welcome to the Christian and Tiffany channel. I'm Tiffany. This is
Christian.
And we are in the midst of our Enneagram series. Today we're talking about the Enneagram 5. Isn't that funny? Enneagram 5.
Cinco.
The investigators, the observers. I like to call them the independents.
Mr. Independent.
The incredibly smart and knowledgeable people of the world. So we're going to tell you 5 things that you should know about the Enneagram 5.
And what are those 5 things?
What their childhood beliefs
Come on.
are.
Preach.
Stereotypes.
There you go.
5. Weaknesses.
Hallelujah.
No, strengths first, then weaknesses.
Oh.
And then how to relate to a 5. How to get along with the 5. How to have a healthy relationship with the 5. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
All right. The childhood belief of a 5 is that there's not enough to go around, and so you've got to preserve. And maybe that stemmed from a childhood where there literally wasn't enough to go around, maybe a big family, maybe there was poverty. But listen, we're not just talking about money. We're not talking about tangible things. For a 5, it has even more to do with time, with peace, with solitude, with privacy, all of those things. There's not enough of those things to go around, and they need to preserve. They are concerned with being zapped of all sources of energy and time and being drained. And so 5s are very intentional about preserving themselves so that they never feel empty and incapable of doing and being who they need to be. They want to be competent and self-sufficient and independent and stand on their own and not need anybody. And maybe that was because they trusted in other people and other people let them down. Maybe it was because they just felt like they could do things better as a child. I'm not really sure. But that's kind of their underlying motivation now as an adult is I should take care of myself. Everybody else should take care of themselves. You do you, I'll do me. We're going to be fine. Don't ask me for too much. They believe like that the world just asks too much and they have to say no to preserve. Okay?
Yeah.
So stereotypes.
Stereotypes. Number 2, stereotypes. So, and again, we don't love stereotypes. Not everybody's like this and at all. But, stereotypes, they can be greedy, a little bit socially awkward because, they're kind of to themselves in the corner. Nerds, stingy. Wait, no, you wrote stingy. That's what it is, stingy. Stingy. Like Scrooge. They can be hoarders. And they can be the watchers. Those people I love? They're like people watching. They're kind of, they can be the watchers.
You're like in the room and you're like, I feel like someone's watching me. And then you look over and there's somebody standing in the corner like watching you.
Wow. It could be a movie.
I'm sure.
Wow. You can really dance.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So those are some stereotypes. Those are some tendencies that some 5s may have, but that's not the 5 in a nutshell. A healthy 5, a strong 5 is going to be the surgeon, the engineer, the world changer that figures out how to cure cancer. Like the 5s are the people that are so focused on gaining knowledge and understanding and having clarity on subjects that are valuable to them that we say this about every number, but they make the world a better place. Every number has the potential and the capacity to truly change the world and improve the world around them.
And if you're flying to some place, you want your pilot to be 5.
So we're talking about strengths now. We've kind of eased into strengths. So
eased in there because they're smart and self-sufficient.
Incredibly scholarly, very independent. Now they're not in touch with their emotions. They go with their head and they stuff their emotions because emotions are unreliable. You can't really trust your emotions. Emotions are fickle. Other people's emotions, they can't deal with emotions. They deal with logic and understanding and common sense and what makes sense, and they analyze and they strategize and they theorize and
there's a place for that. There's a place for that because we're talking about strengths. So if you think about, if you're in the ER and everything's going crazy and you got someone bleeding out over here, you want somebody that's calm in crisis, that can stuff any kind of crazy emotions, can immediately go, okay, are we breathing? Where are we losing blood? Where are the fluids coming from? Let's stop that. Start ordering stuff, manage that situation because they're scholarly, they've studied, they know what's going on and they're able to stuff those emotions. Or they're a pilot, something goes wrong and they're able to land, right in the Hudson or wherever they need to land.
They don't panic.
They don't panic. And so, it is a benefit to them. But with every benefit, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Relationally, maybe not so much. So I don't want to go straight into the weaknesses.
We'll talk about that for sure in weaknesses.
You want to talk about some of the other strengths?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about how they're incredibly dependable and trustworthy and good listeners. Like, you can really count on them not to just be flaky. Because they're very fascinated with observing and watching and learning, they love to watch and learn in their relationships. They observe. They love to see what makes people tick. And so they're really good at listening, really nodding, and not trying to jump in with their own emotional opinions.
Tell me more.
Tell me more, tell me more. They can be surprisingly fun and spontaneous. So a healthy 5 actually has tendencies of an 8. They're more confident, they're more easygoing, they are actually really good leaders, whereas an unhealthy 5 doesn't want to lead anybody, they just want to be alone. A healthy 5 has knowledge and they want to share it with others. They want to teach others. They want to bring others along into the knowledge that they have. And they can be really fun to be around. But the thing about a 5 that is not even a strength or a weakness, it is what it is that they're introverted. And so they can be like hanging out and having a good time, and then they're like, well, I'm out of here, guys, I'm done. And you're like, wait, what? Keep hanging out. They have a cap. Like, they have a cap to how much that they can output emotionally. And energy and all of that, and then they just need to withdraw. I mean,
they're like a Tesla. It knows how much charge is left to get home, and then it'll back off just enough to whatever it needs to be able to get home.
Yeah.
Let's go into weaknesses.
Okay,
4.
so weaknesses. So we'll jump right into what you'd said about their inability or their ability to detach from emotions. In crisis is a good thing, but in relationships, they also tend to detach from emotions, which can leave their spouse or their loved ones feeling like they don't care. Feeling like they're just unemotional, a brick wall, all of those things. And that's difficult for a lot of people to understand. But a 5 can love, and they show their love in other ways, not just through emotion, because they're just not super emotional. 8s aren't super emotional, feely people either. If they're stressed, they may go into their hobby room, which, by the way, we'll talk about that. They need a hobby room. And work on a model airplane for 3 days straight and not bathe and not come out of the room, because that's their way when they're stressed of just digging into something.
Or hunting.
Maybe if they take a course.
There could be lots of different things.
Yeah, I don't know if they hunt. I bet they hunt.
Of course they hunt.
Anyway, but they can pour themselves into sort of useless knowledge that doesn't really benefit them or anyone around them, but it's just their way of coping, is just to retain knowledge. Yep. So they avoid all emotions, especially above all else, they avoid fear. They're afraid of things, and so they don't want to feel afraid. They don't want to feel deprived. They don't want to feel...
Knowledge is power.
They don't want to feel drained. They don't want to feel like people are pulling too much from them. They're afraid of that, and so they just avoid relationships because of that. And then just the greed side of things, again, it's not, they call it avarice, and it's not necessarily a greed for money or material things. They actually prefer a really simple life, a lifestyle that's easy to maintain. Now, they might have a really simple home, but have, a collection of model cars or a collection of coins. Like, they'll have collections and things that they value, but they are not greedy for materialistic things. They're greedy of their time, their knowledge, their emotional energy, their privacy, all of those things. They feel like they have to preserve, and that to share that with someone, to give someone my time, means that time is lost forever. To give them my emotions means those emotions are lost forever. They don't understand reciprocity. I stole the word you wanted to use.
I know, I was going to use that word so I could sound smart.
They feel like if they give, it's gone forever. They don't understand that give and receive. So let's talk about how to relate now.
Yeah.
You ready?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, first of all, I think with the 5, you just really have to respect their boundaries. Respect the fact that they do need to feel like they have their own space and that they aren't going to have so many withdrawals from them that they're left depleted. I mean, that's their greatest fear, is to be left feeling depleted.
Yeah.
And so for, sometimes for them that means that they have their own study or space in the garage or a shed or a nook in the living room where they can just kind of go and tinker and study and read their books or whatever, do whatever it is that they need to do, just to refuel.
Yeah.
So respect their need for that because it's a very important need. And if they feel like you value that need, then they'll feel a lot more comfortable and at ease in your relationship.
Yeah. And they need to be encouraged to give. They really do. If they want to experience the joy and kind of the, I guess the joy of reciprocity, there, I got to use the word, they have to be encouraged to give, just because of their weakness towards greed and fear. And, a healthy 4 understands what it is to give, but you can help and encourage them to give so that they can experience that joy in many different aspects.
You need to help them understand that the world has unlimited resources of everything, and the more you give, the more you receive. I mean, they don't believe it, but you can help them believe it by encouraging them to experience it themselves. Also, listen patiently, because it takes a while for them to articulate their thoughts. Have you ever had a conversation with someone when you're like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, well, it's because they have to really think through and process before they articulate. So for those of us that are talkers, it's really difficult sometimes to have a conversation with the 5. And also 6 has a tendency to do that. So you really have to slow down and give them space and time to articulate what they're thinking and feeling. Because if you bulldoze over it, then they just won't share. So you really want to pull those things out of them, their emotions. Also, make your expectations of them clear, because they're not good at reading between the lines. They're not good at picking up kind of social innuendos and hints.
2 smart words.
Ooh, you're so smart. It's because you're wearing glasses today.
These are my glasses.
I know.
They're my reading glasses.
I know.
They're my old man glasses.
That's why you're smart. So, what are you saying?
Explain why. To get the cooperation, to help them get along.
So they don't have to try and guess what you want from them, but also if you really want them to cooperate, they want to know the why. They need the logical explanation for why they should get up from their comfy reading recliner and come to this event with you. Yeah. Or play this game with the family or whatever, they understand logic. Crying, begging, pleading does not work with a 5, but logic gets them every time. They respect that.
So good. So how would a 5 have like a wing 4? Like I'm thinking like somebody who's not emotional, who's kind of detached from that, studying one thing. How does that work?
So I mentioned this in the 4s video, and that is that 5s with a wing 4 are a little bit more in touch with their emotions. So they have that side, that emotional side of them. They also have not only the desire to obtain existing knowledge, but the 4 side of them really gives them a desire to learn, create, and discover new things. And so your 5s with a wing 4, those are your researchers that are going to, those are your explorers. Those are your people that are going to spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure out things that aren't known to man yet, that don't exist, create things that don't exist yet, the inventors. And then 5s with a 6 wing, they are more on the social side. They also have more of those underlying anxieties of a 6, but they also have more of that desire to be able to connect socially with people and to have strong connections and strong relationships. They're also they're more loyal. So a 5-6, they're not as reclusive necessarily as a 5-4 would be, because to them belonging and connecting with people is almost as important as the need to be self-sufficient.
So good. The 5.
Right. There you go.
We've got 5 kids.
Making a lot of noise in the background today.
You might have heard them a lot.
We'll see what we can do with the editing. Yeah.
We'll try.
Anyway, one more note that is just good for a 5 is if you're going somewhere with a 5, just drive separately. Just take 2 cars, because if you want to stay and hang out into the wee hours, have grace and allow them to go home when they're ready, so you're not having that battle of they want to leave and you want to stay and all that contention. Just respect the fact that you're different.
Yeah.
Some people are super socially oriented and others are not, and that is okay. So love your 5s, respect their boundaries. Know that they love you even if they don't say it or emote it, because they show it in the way that they are steadfast, that they are loyal, that they take care of you, and that they are always there and always present. So love your 5s, appreciate your 5s, because like we said, they are the inventors of the world. They're going to discover the cure for cancer, mark my words.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, guys, thanks for the Enneagram 5. Hanging with us during that. Again, we apologize for any of the kids' noise in the background. That's life, and we're about as real as it gets.
Yep.
So make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, or click the bell, I guess you would do.
In the description, there's a link to our free Enneagram assessment guide. So if you don't know what your number is or the assessment tool, download that free tool and figure out what your number is. If you're like, I might be a 5, download it, read some more, figure it out so you can grow together.
Awesome.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.